So we have a very interesting and diverse career path to offer teachers. So what we have to offer, we say, okay, you mentioned that CELTA is a lakh plus, and how many Indians can afford it. Actually, there's quite a number of Indians who can afford that. And a lot of the time, it's not the individual who's necessarily footing all that money, all right? It might be their organisation, their institution are part funding it. They might be getting the money from a family source. It's not just the individual you're looking at, all right? And they are willing to part with that kind of money because they see what's possible after. As you mentioned, sir, the opportunities now, if you are proficient in English and if you are a proficient trainer and a qualified, certified trainer, the opportunities are endless in India, and it's a growing market. It's a booming market. And if you have CELTA, you put yourself at the top end of that market. So what we are saying is, do CELTA. If you're good, so if you get an A, if you get a B on that course, if you show real promise, we will take you on. We will gradually build you up. And during that time, people like my colleague Gwen, who's the academic manager for the teaching centre in Hyderabad, will be observing you, giving you feedback, making you write formal lesson plans, observing you level testing, observing you interacting with parents, every aspect of the job, mentoring you, all right, in a very concentrated way for 1 year, and then in a slightly less concentrated way in the second year. And only then do we say, okay, now you're ready to do 24 hours teaching. Now you're ready to do all the levels, do some business communication, do an exam practice course. And now we want you to do the Delta. Okay, so we don't say that's it. You've spent this amount of money on investing in a CELTA, but we will invest in you and we will pay for your Delta. After 2 years, 3 years, whenever you're ready, but minimum 2 years of being with us, we will pay for your Delta. All right? We will pay for you to do courses in online tutoring. We will pay for you to go, we're sending a teacher to Thailand to do an extension to CELTA to teach young learners. It's a 2-week extension to CELTA. So people who come to us to do CELTA, they know what it can lead to if they show potential, if they've got the gift. All right? Not everybody who goes on the CELTA course is going to be a gifted teacher. It's going to show great potential. But there will be a handful of people who are the kind of people we want.
How do you admit
this
to
also
CELTA?
entitles you to satisfying the requirement for applying for an IELTS examination.
Indeed, CELTA plus 3 years, I think it is now.
IELTS examination has got lots of qualifications prescribed. What is the ELT qualification?
Yes.
CELTA satisfies.
Yes. So if you want to be an IELTS examiner, you need CELTA plus 3 years. If you want to do anything in a sort of reputable, quality-driven English language institute, you need CELTA. So it's the starting point for a bright future.
How do you admit to CELTA?
Admit to it.
How
do you enroll on it? There's an application. There's quite
what's the basics that you're looking for?
Yeah, so the eligibility. Yes, so there's a set of criteria. Do you want to talk about the criteria?
Okay. Well, you need to obviously have a degree, and there is a minimum age requirement of about 20. And you also complete a task. So you need to be able to show that you are capable with grammar, first of all. You don't need to be perfect, but you do have, there is a test in the application that you need to complete. And based on your performance in that, then we decide if you are eligible for an interview. Then you have an interview where you have further tasks that you need to complete. Also, that involves talking about problems in the classroom, how you interact with your learners, just sort of general methodology to make sure that you've got some sound foundation that you're coming from and that the CELTA isn't going to be entirely new to you. Okay. And it's quite strict. It's a 3-step process because it's a, you know, a Cambridge qualification.
I was interested in knowing what kind of people come to do the spoken English courses at British Council.
Career, sort of people who are looking for a job, because the spoken English courses, specifically our impact courses, a lot of people are looking for interview skills. So it's a lot of job seekers who come, and people who don't, you know, a lot of people talk about stage fear. So people who want to improve their presentation skills, they are also the kind of people who come specifically for our impact spoken English courses, because they get a lot of practice with interview skills, presentations and group discussions.
How long are usually the general English, functional English? How long are these courses?
All our courses are 42 hours in length for one course. To complete a level, it's 126 hours. So it's 3 42-hour courses. Each course is timetabled over a 7-week period. So it's either, is it 3 times a week or twice a week? So we have Saturday, Sunday classes, or
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday classes,
during the week.
You had mentioned that you are different from the mom and pop kind of English training centers. So I assume you were referring to places like Vita, or the smaller, tiny spoken English training centers. So I want to know if you think that the people that come to you tend to be very different from the ones that go to these mom and pop centers, or do you think that it's the same kind of people?
Some of them will be different. Some of them will be those who've tried those kind of institutes and felt that they didn't get what they were looking for, and then come to the British Council. All right, so they come to us because they trust the brand, because they think that we're interested in quality, and that's why they come to us. So initially they may go to other places, and then they come to us.
The 7-week courses, roughly, what do they cost?
Sorry?
The 7-week courses that you're talking about?
At the moment, our prices range from 7,000 to 8,100, depending on the course.
How many months can it take to get employed with?
That's like how long is a piece of string. It really depends what your starting point is, sir. So if you are already proficient, like Gwen said, to do CELTA and to get a job with us, you have to be fairly proficient in the English language in order to teach it and then show potential to be a good teacher. If you're familiar with the Common European Framework, the minimum proficiency level for CELTA recommended is a high B2 or C1, right? So you're talking near native speaker level proficiency, because you have to be able to teach the language, you have to be able to understand grammatical concepts, you have to be able to write assignments, so your academic English has to be good. So on CELTA there are 4 written assignments as well as teaching practice.
Do we have to undergo any particular test to prove our
proficiency? Yes, you do. Yes, there's, as Gwen said, there's a series of tests. So you start off with an application form, a pre-interview task, an interview, a pre-course task. There are various steps that you go through, various filters, if you like, before you finally get selected.
Do we have direct access to intermediate level test? Something
What do you mean by intermediate level test?
Okay, we have one. When you come to the British Council, if you want to do a course, we ask you to do a level assessment. We give everybody what we call a quick grammar test, right?
Yeah.
It takes about 10 minutes.
8 minutes, yeah.
And then based on that, we then give you a level test. So there are 3 tests. based on what we find out about you in that 10 minutes. Then the more detailed test assesses your reading, vocabulary, and grammar.
So it's like a placement,
It's a placement, yeah.
It's a placement test if you want to go and study on the course. And then that will tell you which level you are. And you also have a speaking test with... It's a placement test rather than a diagnostic test, because a diagnostic test is looking for your strengths and weaknesses. But this is just putting you at a level, okay? And then, you know, depending on where you are on the CEF, then that will be able to tell you, and where you want to go, that can tell you how long it will take you. If you come in at B1 intermediate and you want to be proficient, then you are looking at a couple of years of study, yeah? So it depends where you want to be.
Some people stay with us for 1-2 years.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Certainly, across the globe.
Yeah.
You know, it was interesting your question about the kind of people who come to us, because we have a lot of, well, not a lot, but we have quite a few foreigners who come and study with us here at the teaching centre. Iranians and Iraqis.
In Chennai, we have Koreans and Japanese.
They studied with the BC in Iran, or they studied with the BC in Korea, and so the first place they come to is here. Yeah, it could be anything.
Or they're working, they're housewives, diplomats' wives. There's a whole range, you know, there's an increasing expatriate community in both Hyderabad and Chennai. So those people are coming to us, as well as the Indian middle classes.
Are the CELTA modules same all over the world, or do
Yes.
you custom make it for each
No.
country?
No.
None of your modules are custom made for a country?
Can't be, because it's a worldwide qualification, so it has to be the same.
What about the other modules, the general English?
No,
that's different.
those are customized to suit the Indian audience, yes.
Yeah.
So in what way is it customized?
Well, our spoken English course, for example, we don't have anything like that. I was working in the Czech Republic, in Prague, before I came here. We don't have anything like that, because interview skills and group discussions, that's not a way that people get a job in Europe. So, you know, you don't have a course designed, focused on group discussions and interview skills, because they aren't as important, yeah? So for me, it was a bit of a strange course when I first saw it, yeah? So that's a classic example of how they are customized for the Indian market.
Also the kind of topics you train them in group discussions?
Yes, exactly. It's relevant.
What they can relate to?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And does the question of Indian English and its validity ever come up in the training?
It does. It does. In what way? It's raised. It depends. I think students sometimes struggle, but I find it less and less so. I've been in India now on and off for 12 years. And when I first came here, I found that Indian students coming to us were very concerned with their accent, concerned with the vocabulary they were using, and they said, "I want to talk like you, ma'am. You know, I want to speak British English." I'm finding that less and less now. I think Indians they're a lot more confident with the type of English they are speaking, and they understand that what they need, that the currency, if you like, of the English language is the ability to communicate effectively, and it doesn't really matter. Intelligibility, not which accent. No, we don't do accent training. No. We do spoken English. We focus on that, like this lady's saying, intelligibility, clarity. So when we cover such topics as presentation skills, for example. So we focus on the ability for people to communicate clearly, effectively. We also look at listening skills, body language, that kind of thing, soft skills alongside it. But no, we don't focus on accent at all.
We don't want you to sound like us. We want you to sound like you, but clearly speaking English.
But I think this is less and less of a hang-up. I think there are vocabulary differences, which we don't...
Yeah.
We don't... It's not a question of saying this is right and this is wrong. It's just a question of difference. So I would say, for example, when a student says... I always give this example. When I first came to India, I was living in Kolkata, and I wanted to make an external phone call, and I picked up the phone in the staff room, and I got through to the receptionist, and I said, "Oh, can Can you dial this number for me? She said, yes, ma'am, keep the phone. So I kept it. She said, no, ma'am, keep the phone. I said, I am. She said, no, keep the phone. And it took, you know, a number of times before I understood she wanted me to put it down. She wanted me to put the receiver down. And, you know, so there are differences in that, and that can affect communication, because we had a gap there, and it took us a couple of minutes to sort it out.
But do you call one the right way and the other the wrong way? Or?
No, I had to learn. I was living in India. I'm the one living in India, so I have to learn it.
It's fine, you know, we do a lot of business English training.
That's the way I look at it. If that person is telling me, I want to go and live in the UK, then
you have to get it the way. If you're communicating with a foreigner in your job, then you have to be able to express yourself so they can understand you. But when you're communicating amongst yourselves, then it's absolutely normal that you're using Indian English.
When you teach communicative English to Indian students in your centers, would you let them keep the phone? Or would you ask them to hang up the phone? Or like, what would you do? What do you teach?
You need to raise awareness. Yeah, they have to know. They have to know what the difference is. Yeah, they have to know that if they're speaking to someone, they have to know.
Yes. Saying, where are you coming from?
Where are you coming from? Is it over there?
So do you let them keep that form? I mean, do you
no. You see, that's a grammatical form.
That's a different thing. Yeah.
And that can be a problematic because there's an overuse of a particular tense, right? All over India. So that's something we would focus on and we would draw attention to. We would perhaps say, it's not about right and wrong, it's about usage. So you're overusing a tense, and therefore it makes it difficult to distinguish your meaning in different contexts. So that's a bit different from a vocabulary issue.
How come you don't have a center in Bangalore?
We are thinking about it. We would really like to open a teaching centre in Bangalore. Watch this space. Watch this space. We have plans. Yeah, we do.
Excuse me. Do you think that, for example, Indians using this type of language, like these types of expressions, can be related to a kind of English translation to the native language? For example, keep the phone.
With keep the phone, quite possibly, yes. It could be. Some of it's direct translation. Some of it's
archaic
learning of English that their teachers taught them in school, and it was their teachers that had the incorrect usage. Some of it depends on the example.
No, we think in our mother tongue and then say it in English. So if you try to go back to your mother tongue, it's most likely it's the same in the mother tongue. That's what I find with my students. They're thinking in their mother tongue, in English, in Indian languages, and then trying to say that in English.
I think that's true with some people, but I think
think it's
not always,
because everybody does it around the world.
There's a lot of English medium schools in India, right? Which is also quite a. For me, it was a unique thing. It was the first time I'd lived in a country where a lot of the people I was teaching were schooled through the medium of English. So I don't think you can say it's all about mother tongue and translation.
There's a lot of sort of archaic terms as well. A lot of things, you know, I get business emails and I think Queen Victoria's speaking to me from the grave. You know, there's a lot of old things that have stayed that haven't changed so much, where they have changed in the UK. So there's that gap.
Formality.
Very formal, very formal.
I wish to bring to your kind.
Yes, that's it, exactly. That's exactly the kind of expression.
What kind of material do you use to teach these courses in spoken English?
All sorts of things, really. It depends what you want to focus on. We use quite a bit of technology. We've got the PowerPoints up in the classroom, which might have an impetus for discussion, for example. We might be giving you cards where there's usually some sort of competition or a task that you have. You turn it over, you've got a topic, you have to speak for 1 minute, that kind of thing. Lots of different things, not just for spoken English, but general English. Yeah, I mean, this is how we train our teachers. It's an interactive methodology. We focus on communication regardless of whether it's spoken English or business English. So everything that you learn, you practice immediately, usually through a spoken activity Could be a role play, it could be just a discussion with your partner that you then have to feed back to your teacher. And your teacher's always monitoring you and either making notes of your errors, or if it's something specific and grammar that you're looking at the time, then your teacher will correct you immediately to try and help you erase that problem. Yeah.
So what kind of, like the EFL?
So from CUP, OUP, these kind of publishers, Macmillan.
Right.
So we use course books. We don't try and reinvent the wheel for everything. So if there is something good, but the process that we go through to choose a course book has its own methodology in itself. We don't just randomly pick up a course book. We tend to pilot them with a group of students. We do a focus group with teachers and learners to see whether it matches what we're trying to do in the classroom with that particular group of learners. So we're and we regularly review our course book use. So, for example, we've just piloted a new course book for intermediate level English, and we are in this process of reviewing that now. And then, if we find that it was a good choice, then we will introduce that and bin the one that we've been using for the last year. You know, a course book has a shelf life generally of 2 years. If you need to keep it fresh. You need to be using new, the most up-to-date material. That's what we say to our students. We're going to give you the most up-to-date material. That's what we want to provide them. So we don't like to keep the same old, staid material. Yes?
We are dealing with global language.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So in Indian situation, we have typical, rather complicated problem in our Indian schools, English medium schools. Students who are learning, who are studying in English medium, they don't have English environment at home at all. Mm-hmm. Most of their parents are illiterate, rather, I would say. I'm not exaggerating. This is reality. So does British Council has any project in this direction? Yes, of course.
Teach parents
This
English.
should be
A good
our
project.
priority, madam. This should be our priority, because they are the next generation. They will deal with English.
The children are the next generation, right? Not the parents.
The situation is typical, complicated. Means in schools they have English environment. At home they don't have any English environment.
But that's changing, sir. That's changing greatly because of technology. All right. If you look at
No, even technology doesn't come to our help, madam. Please, this is the reality.
But I think I would like to disagree with that. I think that technology is going to change things dramatically over the next 10 to 20 years.
But I think,
television, mobile phones,
we're not...
YouTube, technology is changing people's access to English. So it's not a case, in India more than any other country I've worked in, there's so much access to English, even if your family don't speak English at home.
This is almost in any country where English is being taught as a second language or foreign language. So the students' parents are not educated in English at all.
I think it goes sort of beyond technology as well. The parents are welcome to come and study with us too, and when we teach their children, they have an end of term sort of parent-teachers meeting. So often the parents that I find here, the parents of the children that we teach, come for lessons at the same time as their kids. As a parent, if you feel that your child is getting better at English than you are, you feel like you need to catch up, yeah? So often the parents are coming and studying at the same time. It's possible.
And some of them say that their motivation is that they can help their kids with their homework.
Exactly.
Yeah. We have some material here, some flyers if you'd like to take some to have a look at. We've got 3 flyers. We didn't bring all of our publicity material, but one tells you about the courses we have for young learners. One tells you about the general courses we have for adults, and the other one tells you about courses for teachers and trainers specifically. Because we're launching a new product from July as well. We're doing preparation course for teaching knowledge test. I don't know how many of you are aware of TKT. So that's something we're doing as well. In fact, they're talking about that in the other room, CELTA and TKT, aren't they? So please do pick up flyers on your way out.
Do the spoken English, general English course have done CELTA?
Yes.
Sorry? Say that
All
again?
the teachers who teach for us have done the CELTA.
Yes, absolutely. They have to. It's a minimum qualification we
employ them
accept. We don't
otherwise.
employ them.
And out of curiosity, are they Indian?
Yeah,
Yes.
all our teachers here are Indian.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They are, and our students appreciate that. Because they want somebody who understands their problems, their insecurities, their context, the cultural context that they come from. They like it. Sometimes they request it, because we have had some teachers working for us who were not Indian, and sometimes they've stated a preference where they've said, we want an Indian teacher. Yeah, so that, again, that's something that's changing. When I first came to India in 2000, it was almost the opposite. They're like, no, we want a British teacher. Yeah. So it is changing. Any other questions?
After some time, you are not going to be needed here. So.
Sorry? Absolutely, we're making ourselves redundant. Yeah.
Ma'am, could you tell us something about TKT program? This TKT program?
Yeah, I'm going to hand over to Gwen for that.
Oh goodness, I haven't quite had my briefing on TKT yet. It's going to be starting in June here in Hyderabad, hopefully right after the summer school. It's an 18-hour course. And it's focused on, obviously, teachers' knowledge tests.
3 modules of 30 hours each.
Yes, please, because it's not in my repertoire.
So our exams department have been offering teaching knowledge tests for some years now in India, and they feel that there is a gap, that people are taking the test, and that schools are very interested in their teachers taking this test, because that's what we've been talking about it throughout this conference. People like to test, but they're not necessarily interested in the process that the person goes through in being tested, or the impact, just that they've got a piece of paper that says, yes, I've got TKT. So there is a bit of a gap. So we are trying to bridge that gap by offering this course. And the course that we're offering is a British Council produced course. Right, so the British Council produced a course called TKT Essentials. So we are offering that course.
In preparation.
Yes. And it has a digital element to it as well. So people can do some... they can do work on it online at home, as well as coming and getting face-to-face sessions with us in Hyderabad and Chennai.
So schools actually might pay for their teachers?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Hope so.
And what kind of schools are these?
I think schools that are trying to compete, I think increasingly schools realize that to gain a competitive edge over the next school, they need it's not just about gaining a competitive edge. I think they've started to realize that what will make them different from another school is the quality of what's going on in the classroom, and that means investing in their teachers. So it's not just about having air conditioners and better looking classrooms, it's also about investing in teachers. And I think increasingly now schools in India, private schools, are willing to do that. They're interested in doing it, and they're willing to do it. I know the school that my daughter goes to, in Chennai, the principal's paying for the teachers to do a Cambridge training certificate or something. I know you might be aware of this. What's it called? Cambridge trainer certificate. I don't know much about the qualification myself. It's a Cambridge qualification, but they are paying for 20 of their teachers to go through it. So I think, and that's less and less uncommon now, you know.
People are ready to invest whatever would add value to their school.
Yes, but I think in the past they focused on the cosmetics, whereas now there is a genuine understanding that it's important to
Everybody is able to add that cosmetic effect to the school.
To invest in quality. Yeah.
Sure, it would be an excellent PKT would attract lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Well, my wife went through CELTA first batch in Chennai.
Really? What's her name?
Usha.
Sorry?
Usha.
Usha. Okay.
Not Usha Venkatachan. Usha T.
Does she enjoy it?
She's immediate benefits have been too many. She's also an IELTS examiner.
Great.
Plus a language trainer for Origin Learning Systems.
It's a great course, I think, the CELTA.
In fact, I learned quite a lot.
It's
Though I have
really...
an TEFL from Birmingham way back in 1991. I did learn.
It's more
few
practical.
concepts which I apply in every one of my classes now.
Yeah. For me too. I mean, I have CELTA, and I did it. I won't tell you how many years ago I did it, but for me, anything that I've done since doesn't match up to the sort of revolution I had, if you like, that kind of learning revolution that I went through when I did CELTA. It brings
about a change.
It does bring about a complete change in the way that you look at things, and yes.
Yes, that's tough.
Yeah. So what people tend to find when they do CELTA is that it brings about a kind of life change, even if they don't end up going on to use it in their professional life directly. Just the transformation that they go through as an individual, because it requires people to do a lot of reflection on the way that they are presenting concepts, the way that we learn.
I would like to describe one aspect which appealed to me the most. There are so many of them, but just a small concept like teacher talk time.
Yes.
It might appear too small, but then when you really apply it in the classroom, I've stopped talking.
Yes, CELTA, just for those of you who haven't done a CELTA course, one of the ideas that is taught on the course is that you need to give more time to the students to speak in class, and the teacher should kind of back off a little bit and spend less time talking so that people get more time to practice. Because we do a lot of talking about how it's important to practice what you learn, but often we're left with very little time for the students to get proper practice.
Teachers improve themselves in the class by talking all the time.
Okay. I think we've been talking now. Lots of TTT, teacher talk time.
Yes.
For about 50 minutes now. So any more questions?
Ma'am, do you have any courses for doctors? Any doctors here in Hyderabad?
Doctors in Hyderabad. We don't do a sort of specific like medical English or something like that. But if we were approached
we could
to do a closed group, so we.
Asking me for this actually, whether British Council is offering this kind of courses like doctors.
We would do if we were asked to do a closed course.
Yeah, if you could put a group of people together, we would do it for you.
A course, yes.
Definitely. Give me a call.
Can we join this course PKT?
You would have to first do a level assessment because it is aimed at people who have an English proficiency level of B1. I know that might sound a bit abstract if you're not familiar with the Common European Framework. It's a bit a sort of functional level of English is required for you to be able to understand the course material. So you could do a level assessment, and then if your level is appropriate, then you could do the course definitely. Yeah, you'll be finding more information about the TKT preparation course. we're launching the product in the next, like Gwen said, in June. So we'll have more information. There'll be adverts in newspapers. We'll be doing press conferences, press releases. So, you know, there will be more information coming out. You can visit our website, and there's a flyer here on the teacher training products that we have in the south. Yeah. How many of you have children? Anybody has children here?
Yes, I have.
Yeah? You have children? We've got a...
Our summer courses are coming up soon, yeah?
But we also have year